is it. We're rolling. This is episode 324, No Laugh Track Podcast. I'm Justin Severson here at Acme Comedy Company in Minneapolis. I'm here, as always, 99% of the time, I guess I'm here with the headliner, including this week, and it's Kermet Apio. Kermit, welcome back.
It is good to be here. 324? Did
Yes,
you just say 324?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir, Kermit. 324. 324.
It's
324 episodes. And I even wrote down when the last time you were here. Do you remember last time you were here?
I don't. In a while? Mm-hmm. When do you think it was?
Well, I have it written down here, and it was episode 223 in 2016.
Wow.
Yeah, with David Crow.
Oh, yeah, with David.
It was one of my favorite episodes we've ever done.
Oh, cool.
Seriously, the storytelling on that one was awesome.
Oh, man. One of my favorite comics and a really good friend. And that was a blast having him here.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So here we are. Now it's 2019, Kermit.
I know. It's amazing.
It's January. I looked at the weather forecast in your hometown today, and it's going to be 50 today in Seattle.
Right.
Today in my car, 24. What are you doing here?
Well, I heard there's a possibility for single digits, so I will take 24 any day.
Yeah, in a few days.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yes.
So I'm plenty good with 24, and it is kind of fun to look at the sun and see it not work. It really is an amazing. It's a painting of the sun up there. But it's been beautiful, just cold.
Yeah. Here's how I want to start off this podcast.
Okay.
For real here. How cold do you think that food was at the White House on Monday?
Can you imagine? Because they had to order it, get it, bring it up, set them up on the fancy china and all that, and stack them. And I mean, anybody who's had any of those burgers knows that you got about a good 8 minutes with any kind of warmth. After that, that had to be. How weird would that have been?
I imagine them, going through, security scans.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, we
X-raying each nugget.
Oh man, that's it. You win the national championship. Go get some fast food burgers.
I honestly thought when I saw that on social media earlier this week, I thought it was a joke.
Well, there someone had posed the question that maybe that because when he said he paid for it himself, well, theoretically, players cannot accept gifts from from a private citizen, right? It's considered like a booster.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And so even if someone takes a player to lunch, they cannot pay for the whole lunch. The player has to pay for their lunch, and that question was posed on social media, and I realized, oh wait a minute, what he provided them is not a gift.
Right.
It's no
you
one
didn't
would
do me a favor. You didn't give me a gift.
Yeah, you're not going to convince someone to play football at your school by giving them a burger.
Right. Like when. I just read something about how when the Vikings didn't make the playoffs, the players lost out on, at least $23,000 in bonuses. Now, these college players, your bonus is you get to have cold nuggets.
Burgers. Yeah, you reached the pinnacle. You literally won the national championship. Get ready. We're going to treat you like kings.
Oh, I just love it.
So, hey, going back to that, what was that like here? Because there was so much expectation at the beginning of the season. I can't imagine what it was like here.
Yeah. Kirk Cousins went from being, the potential savior to what the hell were they thinking paying a guy $20-some million a year or whatever is it 80-some million?
I think it's 84 guaranteed.
Over 4
I think the whole thing's guaranteed. Yeah.
So it went from him becoming the savior. Let's move on from Case Keenum. Maybe it was just luck last year to wow, maybe we made a mistake.
And statistically, he wasn't bad. If you look at his stats, it doesn't look like he was. So I couldn't understand what was happening here. I wasn't watching him every week, but I can't imagine that could have been easy. And it wasn't like the last game of the season at the fourth quarters when you found it out. It seemed like you knew it for a couple of weeks before the season ended. That had to be difficult.
Very much so. There were a lot of problems. They had fired a coordinator during the season. They weren't running the ball a lot. They've had, this Delvin Cook who wasn't getting the ball enough, and people were complaining about that. And I don't know. They had a lot of problems.
It's too bad. And the one thing as a Seattle fan I can tell you is that these windows aren't open long.
I know.
I mean, you have these sort of the turnover is such that, man, if you've got a good team for about 3 years, you got to make the most of it because players move on, players get older, lineups, rosters change. So I hope they can get together because
Vikings had a guy that played in Seattle in the past this year that did what the heck was his name? Defensive lineman. Now I can't think of his name. Well, the Vikings played the Seahawks this season.
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You didn't go to that game, did you?
I did not. I didn't get to any games this year. Yeah, which is, as a matter of fact, I barely got to actually watch a full game this year. Just the schedule was such.
What?
I get a lot of Sunday afternoon shows.
Okay.
I've been doing a lot of PTA gigs.
Yeah.
Little wine fundraisers.
After church get-togethers.
Actually, you know what it is? It's being a sports dad because the kids always have tournaments or things on the weekends.
Yeah.
And so I missed.
You mean you can't tell your daughter, "Hey, I've seen you play volleyball. No matter how
It was funny though. There was one tournament where it was 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The Seahawks game was starting, and so I put my headset in and I was cheering for my daughter's team and the team that was in my ear.
Yeah,
and it was funny because
you didn't cheer at an inappropriate time, did you? The Seahawks score a touchdown, but your girl's team just screwed up.
Oh no! What if the Seahawks did something really bad? What if it was a pick six and I start swearing?
Son of a mother! That would be great.
But it was funny because they realized, some of the parents around me realized what I was doing, because a couple of parents were asking me for updates, right? And so at one point I just kind of stopped and I go, "Look, is anybody recording this at home? Because I don't want to say these things out loud."
Oh, yeah.
And all the parents were like, no, just keep us updated. So whenever something happened, I would tell the parents, because I would hate to be the guy yelling out scores and stuff.
No kidding.
And some parents trying to no, I'm going to watch it at home.
Oh yeah, I've had to turn off notifications on my phone.
Right? You can't go on social media. You cannot, because people are and I have a lot of football fan friends. So man, a ref makes a bad call, there's 10 updates.
Yeah. Even and I'm also including the ESPN updates. Where they're giving me a score. No. I don't. If I'm behind or I'm not watching right now, or the beauty is with the YouTube TV, which is what I have.
Right.
It has a DVR, cloud-based DVR, so I can watch that whenever I want.
Oh.
I can pause it. I can skip those commercials.
Oh, interesting.
I can watch it on. If there was a game on right now, Kermit, I could pull it up on my phone and we could watch it right now.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So you get that going. You can watch your daughter, you can watch your son, and you can watch the game all at the same time.
Wow, on my BlackBerry?
Well, the only thing you're going to have to do is upgrade that phone. I'm sorry. Besides that. So it's here Thursday now. You started doing shows this week, Tuesday?
Yes.
Is it a Tuesday week? How's it been going?
Fun. I just love the audiences here. They're so much fun, and they have so much patience, which I love. You can kind of meander through the newer stuff, and it's okay. You don't. There's some situations where you kind of feel like if they drift far enough, they won't come fully back, right? But Acme audiences seem to have a sense of they'll go with you a little bit, and they'll never force a laugh, but they're okay if it doesn't hit, and. As a matter of fact, I was doing something that was kind of more an idea than a bit yet.
Okay.
And I said something, and I did the bit, and it didn't do well. And I heard this woman go, "What?" Oh. And not loud. She wasn't heckling, but she was closer to the stage where I just heard her go,
"No."
"What?" But what I realize is that she's engaged in it. She wanted to get the joke. It wasn't like that joke sucked. It was kind of like, did I not get it? Like, what was the punchline there? Like, you know what I mean? It was inquisitive more than judgmental. And I was laughing to myself. I was laughing because like, oh, that's so Acme, right? That's so like, should I have gotten that? Should I have?
So was there a moment where you were going to acknowledge her? What?
I thought about it, but then I kind of thought, no, I don't want her. You know what I mean? Because there was nothing, there was no malice in it. There was no sense of, well, I need to let him know that I'm not getting his joke. It wasn't that. And some people can do that. Some people would just go, more negatively say that. Mm-hmm. But to her, she was kind of like, wait, what? Am I? Did I miss something? Did I? Was I supposed to get that?
Yeah.
And, but what I wanted to say to her was like, don't worry, like no one's laughing. You're good. Like you're fine. There's consensus on that.
Yeah.
But like I said, it was more an idea than a joke yet. So
how we talked real briefly before we started about how much you've been working recently.
Right.
You've been on the road a lot.
Not that much actually. Most of December, I do a lot of corporate events, and luckily Seattle provides a lot of corporate events, so I get to stay home a lot. And I think before I came here to Acme, the last 5 weeks I was gone maybe 2 days, and it was just like, drive to a town, do a show, and then come back the next day. So yeah, I've been home a lot. So I've been doing the dad thing. I'm keeping busy, but just not as much travel as I used to do years ago, which is kind of good. And, as a dad, it's nice to be home.
Yeah. Did they get sick of you yet?
Oh,
I mean, which day did they tell you they were sick of you being around so much?
No, they don't really say it out loud, but they show you. It's funny because you have these where like they're not sick of me, but it's just sort of my voice is just this dad voice, right? Like my son, he texted me and said, "Can you bring me a contact lens?" One of them fell out. So I came to school, I brought him the contact lens. Well, that night I was saying, hey, you know what you should do? You should put a couple of contact lenses in like a Ziploc bag or something. Just put it in the front pocket of your bag so you always have it. And he goes, oh, Dad, this rarely happens. And I said, well, I know, but why don't you put it in just to have it? It doesn't take up a lot of space. It's not heavy. Just put it in your bag. And he goes, no, Dad, you know what? I don't really need that. I mean, it doesn't happen very often, blah, blah, blah. And I went, wait, why are we arguing? Like, what is the detriment to having this in your bag?
Right.
I wasn't sure why we were having this discussion. Like, it's not heavy. It's not going to take up a lot of space. Yeah. And but I just kind of realized that maybe just that was his mood at that point. That I was nagging him about something, even though. Yeah, put a couple contact lenses in your bag. Because then he goes, Dad, I hardly ever need it. I go, you needed it today. I don't even notice. I went to your school today, and I travel. So some days I won't be there, and Mom works. You're gonna have to have one bad eye all day. Why not have a contact lens? Like, it's funny because when you do as a parent, you have arguments that shouldn't exist. Mm-hmm. There's no reason for that argument.
Yeah,
and there we were, like arguing contact lenses in your backpack.
I had a fun one the other day. My kids are with me, not full time because I'm not with their mom, and so when they're over, now this time of year, I get a lot of comments about the temperature in the house. We're not keeping it warm enough. All right, and you think, you can relate, I'm sure, as a dad, and so specifically my older daughter, who's 12, she will complain about the temperature, that it's so cold. But then I go to pick her up from school just 2 days ago, and she's walking outside carrying her jacket. So it doesn't add up at all.
Of course not.
No,
yeah.
and I even confronted her with it. I go, "Where's your jacket?" Well, I'm holding it. I know. I go, just yesterday you were complaining about the temperature. It's fine. Like, see, it's just
right. And that's the thing. And your statement, which is completely logical, is somehow like, why are you even saying this, Dad? Right? Isn't that the funniest thing? Like, it's a completely logical thing. Well, you have a jacket. You're outside. Yeah. It's not July. Maybe throw it on. Maybe wear it. Like, it seems completely logical, and yet it's that whole confrontation of it all. Like, why are you confronting me with this?
Yeah,
right. Mm-hmm. There's a beautiful insanity of parenthood, man. I love it.
Yeah, I don't know how much we're really supposed to understand teenagers, even though we were all there.
No, we're not.
You know?
We're not supposed to at all. And that's the thing. Like, even if I relay a story that's similar to something that she's going through, it's not. No, you don't understand, Dad. Like, because they can't picture us as teenagers.
Oh, I said the other day, and I think I was overstating things a little bit about myself, but something came up about me being in high school, and I was like, I was kind of popular. I mean, holy crap, Kermit! The reaction from them was like, like the record skipped. It was like, stop the press. Wait, what? You what? Dad, what? And then I went, whoa. Okay, I wasn't like the coolest kid. Like the people were walking around like my crap doesn't stink. All I'm saying is that here's the deal, girls. There were only like 125 kids in my graduating class. Yeah. So everyone was pretty popular because you couldn't help but know everyone. I grew up in the same born and raised in the same neighborhood until 18. So we all knew each other. So yeah, I guess by default, everyone was kind of popular.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm sorry, I overstated that. Holy cow. Yeah. Geez.
Last year we went to Hawaii, and a bunch of my high school friends got together, and we all got together at this restaurant to have dinner and chat, catch up. So at one point, my son's sitting next to a couple of buddies of mine, and they started talking. I mean, I didn't know what they were talking about. And finally, my son says, Dad. And I said, what? He goes, you were good at basketball? and my son loves basketball, plays all year round. He plays club, and he was on 3 teams this winter. He loves basketball.
Wow.
And I said, yeah, I played with these guys. And he goes, yeah, they're telling me all these stories about you, right? And I realized that I've told him I played. Like I don't say like I was awesome, because I wasn't. I was good, but I've told him I played basketball, but it just doesn't register, right? So here these guys are telling the story that he cannot picture some bald guy with a goatee and a waistline that hangs over his belt dunking. Like he doesn't register at all, and I get it. Yeah. Like he doesn't see me as a teenager. He met me when I was 35, 30. He met me when I was 37. So, you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
It's so funny. Like for him hearing these stories, we're like, what? And yeah, one time your dad, we were playing this game and blah, 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 and this and that. And he's just going, really?
They have no idea.
It was very funny. So I totally get your story, man. Same thing.
Mm-hmm. You were what? Oh, well, let me explain.
Yeah, I didn't always look like this.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It didn't always look like this. Mm-hmm. You said you were back in Hawaii. You weren't there. It was almost a year ago, or was it just past a year ago when they had that false alarm?
I was not there.
You weren't there then.
Yeah, I was not there. But I mean, I woke up in the morning and just saw all these posts about it, and the funny thing was there was definitely this sort of concern. I don't know if people remember what you're talking about, but there was a text that went through Hawaii that said that North Korea had launched a missile. Yeah, and
people were getting alerts on their phones.
Yeah. And by the way, they said later, it was one guy made a mistake. Like no. Mm-hmm. They were trying to scare my Hawaiians. I know that. So, but yeah. So the funny thing was, my mom said that most people didn't really do anything different, like, because what are you going to do, right? You put a blanket over your head or something. There's not much you can do.
Yeah, I suppose. And helmet's not going to help.
No, it's not. There's right, and it's not like people have bunkers in Hawaii,
right?
And so it was kind of this moment of like, is it serious? Is it happening? Are we? So they're turning on TV and nothing's being said or anything, and so it was. She said it was this odd calm where everybody there was no panic, but there also wasn't much movement. People kind of stopped. A lot of cars pulled over and tried to call and text friends. It was this really oddly calm thing, and then it took. I think it took 15 minutes before they.
No. 38.
30. That's right.
Yeah.
30. And so there was this really bizarre wait, like what's happening now? Like, oh man.
How much family? You have quite a bit of family still there?
Pretty much
right?
all my family's there.
Yeah.
I have a couple of relatives on the mainland, but pretty much everybody else is back home.
Okay.
Yeah. And so when I go there, it's just an eating festival, because that's the Hawaiian thing. You step into someone's house and they need to feed you.
Okay.
And so
They were preparing it anyway, and you just happen to show up? Is that how it is?
usually, if they know you're coming, they're making something. If they haven't, and you just kind of show up while talking to you, they will walk into the kitchen and chat with you while they make something.
Okay.
And everything, and you can't turn it down. Like food is a big deal. When I went to when I went to college, the drinking age in Hawaii was 18, so
Okay.
I'd been to bars and stuff, and then I went to college, and I noticed people just order their drinks and no food. And what, people just order beers? Like, that's weird, because in Hawaii, you order your first round of drinks and your first round of appetizers. Like,
Oh, okay, yeah.
Hawaiians love eating. We're
Yeah.
good at it. And I think a big part of it is that if you're eating, like if you're with a bunch of relatives and you're eating, you won't talk about your feelings. I think, you know what I mean? I think that's so the more you're stuffing your face, we can just chat about the weather or the traffic. If we all sit around and not eat, it's going to get deep, and nobody really needs that tonight.
Pass the peas immediately.
Yeah.
Quick,
Give
more.
me some now. I got a loaf of bread here.
Did you see? I think this happened back last summer, but I was searching. I think I've done this with you before. I do with a lot of guests. I'll search some news from like your hometown or where you're from. So I searched Hawaii.
Right.
What they think is the biggest shark ever recorded. They saw off the coast of Hawaii within the last 6 months. Did you know that?
I did not. I did
Over
not
20
see that.
feet.
Wow.
Yes.
So the Meg is a documentary. This is
The thing has a name. It's called Deep Blue.
okay.
It's a giant shark that they saw once off the coast of California, like 13 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And then in the last year, they saw it. These pictures just came out like in the last 24 hours. I just happened
And
to
they
see
know it's the same one. Like
Pretty sure. They're
Wow.
pretty sure because it's so big. Yeah.
wow.
Did you ever, growing up there, did you ever fear the wildlife anywhere?
Oh, of course. There was one time where I was surfing by myself at the beach. I mean, I was young. I might have been maybe 10 or 11, and I'm out there just kind of waiting for a wave and everything, and it's weird because you kind of. Because a lot of shadows bouncing off the water because the water's constantly moving.
Sure.
But you always notice weird shadows. And so I kind of saw a weird shadow. Maybe I didn't see anything, right? And then I saw the weird shadow on the right side. The first one on the left. So the second one's on the right side. I went, is something moving? Okay. Could be a turtle. Could be, you kind of go through the checklist.
yeah.
And then the circles started getting smaller, and I realized it was a hammerhead. Not huge, about probably 6 feet, so probably couldn't do too much damage, but so I kind of that's a hammerhead shark. So I slowly put my legs up on the board and then just started paddling like I had never. I mean, I don't think I've ever moved a board that fast.
Yeah.
and just kind of picked up the board and walked to my grandma's house, and I'm done.
Done for the day.
Yeah. So that kind of thing happens, and I never really got into like the big waves where you got to kind of get a little bit farther out and everything.
Okay.
And that's kind of where when you go past the reef a little bit, that's when you start getting into like the bigger ones that are kind of dangerous. I've snorkeled out there, but when you're snorkeling, you can see things coming. When you're surfing, you don't.
Yeah.
Surfing, you're above everything. You don't. So it's part of. It's part of the deal. But luckily, if I was surfing or body surfing or boogie boarding, I was never that far out.
Okay.
I wasn't that good.
How about animals above ground? Are there any unique to? I'm thinking here. I'm trying to rack my brain. There's nothing
No.
unique to Hawaii or anything.
Nothing really.
No.
I mean, mosquitoes.
We have those here.
Yeah, you do.
Ours are bigger here.
I was here one July, and that is.
I'll fight you for that.
That was educational, man. No, there's nothing really. It's a very serene land environment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Serene. I like that word. Let's go back to talking about your comedy some more. I don't think this was available the last time you were here. That the special you recorded for that.
Oh, the dry bar special.
Dry bar comedy.
Yeah. It's really great. Those things are. It was fun to do, and
How long ago did you record yours?
I want to say about a year and a half ago. Yeah, about a year and a half ago, I think. Mm-hmm. And it was amazing because they said we're gonna do this and this and this, and here's our plan and all and because it was just kind of taken off when I did it. They had about 3 specials in the can when I did it, and then there was another wave of us that came in.
Oh, okay.
And they said we're going to do this and this, and you're kind of like, okay, sure. I've bought Facebook ads too, and they're like, no, but we have all these strategies and everything, and they made it happen.
Oh, they told you
they told us
about
before,
the
here's the
marketing
plan,
they were going to do.
Here's the kind of marketing we're going to do.
Oh,
and they made it happen.
Yeah, they did.
And and like I said, it wasn't like I didn't think they could do it, but I've been around long enough to know that at some point reality kind of sticks its claws in and goes, okay, I know you're planning this, but here's this, and then you have to adjust. I thought they were going to do fine because they really enjoyed the comedy. They wanted it to succeed, and they had a great plan as far as how to produce them. And there was a lot of really, really good comics in the lineup. I looked at the roster. I go, wow, you've got some really funny people coming through.
Oh yeah, lots of recognizable names. Lots of no laugh track guests.
Yes,
quite
and
a few.
so I was very impressed with that part of it. But when they were saying the marketing, they were really kind of saying something that wasn't done the way they were going to do it. And so, the first clips they brought out were just like a minute long. And then they kind of realized, they need to be longer. And so they started releasing 4-minute clips, which did really well. And so I saw that a clip of mine got released. I was like, oh, good. Maybe this will help get some clicks over to watch the full special or whatever. I was happy about it. And then I wasn't even paying attention, but someone said, hey, did you notice you're at 7 million views on your clip? And I went, what?
Wow.
And I went to the clip, and it was at 7. That one eventually got to 12.
Wow.
Right. And so there's 7 million. I'm thinking, oh, these must be some kind of bots. Like they're all going to be some
jacking the numbers up.
Right. Some weird Russian names. And
You're doing well, but all the views are from Moscow.
Yes. Right. Exactly. And I went through, and I know they're people, and they did what they said they were going to do, which is amazing. And so I have people who will message me and say, hey, someone you don't know just shared a video of yours. That happens a lot. Like people that they're friends with them that they know don't know me, will post something like, oh, this clip, this I totally relate to this, or this guy's really funny, and it's an amazing thing, and or 2 people who I know who don't know each other will comment. Like I'll go, wait, how does that person know that person? They were just commenting on that video clip, and it's a pretty amazing thing when someone comes in with a path that doesn't exist and say we're going to do this. Like I said, when you say, well, there's Facebook ads and there's things we can do with them, I go, yeah, I know. I've done Facebook ads for little shows I'm doing, but what you're saying is another level of this.
Yeah.
And I've never seen it done that way. Not for comedy. Maybe it's done for other types of businesses, but not comedy.
No, it's amazing how much of their stuff is shown up in my timeline, these videos.
It's great. And for those of us who aren't getting the Comedy Central specials or the Netflix, not that we won't in the future, but for those of us that aren't getting it now, it's a nice thing to have.
Yeah. For someone like you, this is tailor-made for someone like you.
Right. And
100%.
And the other part of it, too, is that a lot of people who are booking, say, corporate events or some kind of event where they know they want a clean comic, it was difficult to find us, right? Because they would say, oh, you turn on the TV and everything, and it's hard to see comics that would fit what we're doing. Yeah. And so now Dry Bar has been a resource for, if you're looking for a clean comic, go to Dry Bar. There's a bunch of them there. Mm-hmm. And it's not like we're all talking about coffee mugs. There's a variety of styles. There's a variety of edginess. Because some comics are clean, but they might talk about race or politics or whatever.
Swade. Dwight. Let's change his name to Dwight Swade. I like that. Dwight Slade. No. Dwight Slade was here recently.
He's amazing.
He has one on there.
He's amazing.
And he said about how it's clean in that I'm not swearing, but some of the content is it's more for adults.
So they allow you to do kind of what you do under these parameters, right? So as long as you're not dirty and you don't swear, you can just so people are talking about topics that might be button pushing. They're just not being dirty about it. So you can go to Dry Bar and find a wide variety of comics that you have never heard of, but can fit what you do. And so for that, it's been a great resource that people are finding us out there when previously they didn't think that many of us existed that could do a clean hour.
Now, another place that a lot of people are finding comedy these days, besides podcasts, which should be their number one place. That and going to comedy clubs
Absolutely.
in person and podcasts, but also satellite radio is a great place to hear stuff. And people here, are introduced to comics they've never heard before quite a bit in satellite radio. Now, right before we started recording, you were asking Brandon, one of the managers here, if they could do some recording for you.
Yeah.
Because you'd like to get some more. Do you have anything that they're playing right now?
Yeah, I do. I have a bunch of stuff out. I
Awesome.
get more plays than I thought I would.
Now, are they playing stuff from an album of yours, or just these? Because I, until about a year ago, didn't know that you could some comics are just sending them clips and not full, albums. Or
yeah, initially it started because of my album. They pulled, I think they got about 8 clips out of it.
Okay.
And recorded at Acme Comedy Company in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
That's right.
And so that album now is about 10 years old, and so now I'd like to get some newer clips on there to send them. So when I first signed up for the thing, I wasn't sure if anything would get played, and it's not like I don't have satellite radio, so I wasn't sure if anything was being played. And all of a sudden, a friend of mine texted me a picture of his radio with my name and the station he was listening to, and said, "Hey, I'm listening to you on satellite radio." So I thought, "Oh, cool, this is great, and I might start getting something for this and everything." And so months went by, and more than one person told me they heard me on satellite radio, and I wasn't getting anything.
Oh,
yeah. And so I tried to contact the company that keeps track and sends out and does acquires the money and then pays you, that kind of thing. And it's really hard. It's not like a company where you can call the number and talk to somebody. It's an online presence.
Sure.
So man, I tried. I emailed and just couldn't hear back. And because and also they're getting an email going, "Hey, I think I should be getting some royalties here." Like they probably get that email every day, right? So it took me a month to get to somebody. I think I'm getting played. I'm not sure, if the checks take long or whatever. Well, it turns out that my name is spelled Kermet. It's my parents' fault. Nobody spells it that way, right? Whoever put the stuff into the system put Kermit.
so it's not logging as
Right,
you.
right. So, which I don't blame them because that's how everybody spells it.
Yeah.
But that one letter meant the computer wasn't recognizing a Kermet at all.
Yeah.
And so that ET guy is not being played at. He's zero money. Right. And so
Not even on our. Never heard of them.
yeah. And so they finally figured that out, and it took a while. And they said, "Oh, you need to fill out another one, and do this and do this and this." And then when it comes to name, just type in IT as well. So it'll be like an alternate name. And they said, "We know it's you. We'll approve it and all that." So I did the whole thing again.
Could you just legally change your name to like Kermit IT in parentheses? Have both, right?
right. And so it took me 9 months to get a check from the time I started getting plays.
Okay.
Because it had been a couple months that I didn't know I was being played. And so it was so funny is when that first check came in, I was like, whoa! Like this satellite radio thing is amazing.
Oh, because it's about a year's worth. Or
That's
whatever,
right.
Sure.
Which so it was really it helped so much. But yeah, so that it was funny because I wasn't getting anything because in theory I spelled my own name wrong.
Yeah. Ridiculous. How often do they pay out comedians now? Like now that you're on the...
You get a check about... It varies. It's about every 4 to 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't think it's a regular date. I think they're just sort of the computer processes names and numbers.
Sure.
Because there's so many of us out there that it just sort of processes, and
So the clips from Dry Bar, are they on satellite anywhere? Or there's not. They don't have.
No,
that connection?
they don't have they don't have a contract. And,
No.
And if they did, they would have to kind of work out a deal, because the contract I signed was only to be used in this, and this.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so they can only use it for for certain things.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Have you? So you've been spending some time at home, which you said.
Yeah.
Like in December. You watching any Netflix?
Yes, which is weird, because I wasn't that into it, because just because of the addiction factor. They make it so that you don't have to move, right? Because the next episode is about to start. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to ever, I don't have to search any episodes. You go back on, and it knows exactly where you left off. Hey, you want to continue there? Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of avoided that. And but yeah, like I said, I was home for 5 weeks in December. And my wife hates to cook, so I do a lot of cooking. So I started just getting my laptop with the headsets, the Bluetooth headsets, and I cook and I watch stuff. And yeah, so I've actually gotten into Netflix a lot the last month.
What were you watching?
You know what? I like the comedies. That's kind of where
You watch people stand up?
No, not stand up.
TV shows,
I don't like watching.
sitcoms.
Yeah, I don't like
Okay.
watching stand up, because then all of a sudden I write a joke and go, "Did I think of that joke
Yeah.
or hear that joke?"
Okay, that's what I figured.
Yeah, so I don't watch a lot of stand up, but Schitt's Creek is amazing.
Why is it getting so much attention now? It's
telling
been
you,
around for several years.
I'm telling you, it's so well done.
Did it just get way better or something? In the last
know.
2 weeks, I've been seeing so many headlines about that show.
Well, because they had a new season
Okay.
come in October. So, but it's such a fun show, and Kimmy Schmidt.
Yeah.
Is a fun show. And then there's the one out of Canada called Kim's Convenience, which I love that show. I'm a quarter Chinese, and it's about this Korean family that owns a convenience store in Toronto, and it is really well done. It is. Yeah, I really like how they deal with the sort of and Koreans are a little different from Chinese, but there's certain amount of the sort of Asian experience that is similar, and so on some levels I really relate to it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so mostly comedy. That I'm sort of. And then Brian Regan's new show, I love watching that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't finish it. I watched there were 4 or something, 4 or 6 episodes or something like that. I watched the first 2.
Yeah, I'm so proud of him. He did such a great job with it. And it was kind of thing he did. He did it. It was he wanted to have some fun, take some of the old stuff, and see if he could move the idea further with sketch. And I thought it was so cool that he set out to do it and did it on his own. And yeah, it's fun to watch that.
I love when something gets mentioned on this show and then months later it actually is a thing. Because that was one of them. Like Jeff Cesario helped on that project.
Yes.
And he mentioned it over a year ago when he was here. And then again in November when he was here. And then finally it's here.
Yeah. Well, they made most of it a while back, and then they made a few more things to kind of flesh it out, be a little bit longer. So it's been a couple years in the making, and
that's what I figured.
Yeah.
Were you opening for Brian in the last year?
We did. Where did we do? Last year we did. Oh man, we did Salt Lake City, and he's huge in Utah.
Okay.
Huge, and so we did it's not called it anymore, but the Delta Center where the Utah Jazz play. We did that. They didn't use every seat. They kind of blocked out the very top section. But he sold out 2 nights, 12,000 people each night.
Wow!
It was the most amazing experience. So they put a square stage on center court. They put seats on the floor, and then the arena. So you're kind of theater in the round. So you had to kind of move. Kind of keep turning. You couldn't stay in one place because it was people were all around you.
Sure, it's not natural, but
it's not natural. It's a very weird thing to play, but man, it was fun. And you have to really convince yourself to slow down, not only to talk slower, but when you give the punchline, you got to wait.
because of the sound traffic.
Yes,
right?
because the sound gets out to them, they laugh, and those people way up there in the 300s, they you want their laugh to be part of the thing. So the laugh kind of starts, and then
Even if they didn't pay for a good ticket.
yeah, even though they didn't shell out the
deserve
good
to
money.
laugh.
Well, hey man, those are my peeps. If I was paying to see Brian, I'd be up there with them.
Fair enough.
You know.
Yeah.
But that was amazing. So two nights at 12,000 people. It was amazing, and to watch him in front of a crowd like that, like anywhere we go when I get to open for him, anywhere we go, he's got a crowd that loves him. Right? That's inherent in his career.
Yeah.
But the way Utah enjoys him is such a fun thing to watch, and they really, really love him. And you can see him really get into it. He loves being sort of present in that.
Okay.
And he's very appreciative. He's so appreciative of his fans, and so it's really fun to watch. When you're watching 12,000 people just scream when he walks out.
Yeah.
Because when I wrap up, I sort of introduce him, and when I start saying his name, this wall of sound is just coming at you.
So cool.
12,000 people screaming. It's a really amazing thing. Yeah.
Trevor Noah is coming to the Twin Cities in a month or two to do a arena show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm sort of surprised.
Why's that?
I don't because I don't hear a lot of people talk about his stand-up.
You know what? He's very funny. I got to see him live in Seattle a few months in the summer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was great. A friend of mine took me with him, and what I like about the stand-up is that it's his story. He talks about his mom, about growing up in Africa,
Yeah.
you know, and that. And just to come here and not know what sort of racism is in a way. Like, I mean, of course, in Africa they know what racism is, but it's a different kind here.
Sure.
And so it's a really personal story, and just, you know, kind of goofy stories about his best friend and everything. I loved it. I really enjoyed it because, you know, the Daily Show is a sort of a reaction to news and kind of our current situation and his part in it, right? His sort of his perspective from being someone who wasn't born and raised here. And so I you know, that's fun. But then when you watch him get to talk where the world is the world he's in,
oh yeah,
it's really fun. Yeah, it's really engaging, and he's very clever. Like, you know, he's not one of these guys that pounds you with the punchlines. He's very smart, has a clever way of telling the story. But it fleshes out him as a person for you. And then when you watch a Daily Show, it's even better because you know,
that's awesome.
yeah, you know him.
Well, now I want to go.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's really fun to watch. And how can you be so likable and connected in these big venues,
Right.
And he's not high energy, so he's not going to get you with his crazy big motions, but yet he stands there and he talks, and he does pace the stage. He does cover a lot of area, but in this very nice, easygoing thing and very clever stuff. And yet people way in the balcony are just loving it. They're connected. It really is fun to watch. I recommend him.
That's very cool. I'm looking at the time here. There's so many things I still want to get to here.
Oh shoot!
Kermit.
Okay,
so
I'll have shorter answers.
No. I'm not discouraging that. Representative Ed Case of Hawaii.
Yeah.
Do you know who that is?
I do know of him, yes.
Did you see the story about him recently?
You checked the news, didn't you? I did not.
I'm all over.
Yeah.
I'm all over the place. Representative Ed Case said Wednesday he regrets the comments he made claiming he was, quote, an Asian trapped in a white body to those he may have offended. Do you know about this?
I did hear this.
He was responding to the controversy he sparked at a reception in Washington, billed as a celebration of Asian American and Pacific Islander members of the 116th Congress. Case was quoted by the National Journal, a fella who's having him said, "I'm an Asian trapped in a white body." So you do know about this.
Here's the thing.
Explain to me what happened here.
I have had people go and see a comedy show in Hawaii and tell me I didn't like the show. It was very racist. It was very offensive because, okay, so you have this place where these sugar and pineapple companies hire workers from all over, China, Japan, Philippines, Samoa. All these workers are coming there, and they all live in these barracks. They share these barracks, and they, each of them are hanging out with their own group, but they can't not interact. They're learning each other's languages. They have to learn English because that's what the bosses speak, and so they're learning. They're kind of coming together on the language and everything. Well, you work all day on the sugarcane fields or the pineapple fields. You come in. Boy, I said I was going to do short answers, and I lied.
Keep going.
And you come in, and there's no TV or anything. So what they would do is they'd razz each other. They'd literally razz each other.
Okay.
They'd make fun of each other. So you got to remember that in Hawaii, white is the minority. White is the smallest minority in Hawaii. So much of the humor over generations from those workers on the fields have come from teasing races. So this is our sense of humor. This is what we do. This is how we. He didn't say that in a way that he was making fun of Asians in any way. What he was saying was, hey, in Hawaii, his wife is Asian. So he's saying he's experienced the Asian culture. When you go to Hawaii, we had rice pretty much every night with whatever we ate. My dad would put rice in his spaghetti, which is, I know, because you eat rice in Hawaii. You eat a lot of rice. And so what he's saying is, like, in a lot of ways, if you grow up in Hawaii, I went to a private school that was, I think, 80% Japanese. So most of my friends growing up were Japanese. It is part of the culture there, and he's married into that culture. So he really is. So in a lot of ways, that's all he's saying is that we don't, in Hawaii, we don't have these sort of hypersensitivities to speaking of race. We don't look at it that way. Whether you're making a comment like he made or making the comics will go. I've seen comics, non-Filipinos do full bits about how funny Filipino people are and what they eat and how they talk and it's hilarious. But if you're from the mainland and you go to that show, you're like, well, this guy is completely offending Filipinos. Like, and I get it. I totally understand, right? Because a lot of that comes from the way, we have made jokes about black people or about Native Americans. I get it. I totally understand. Mm-hmm. But in Hawaii, the idea of race is very different than the idea of race on the mainland. It is a completely different way to look at humor and culture and everything. Like, I'm not Japanese, but I eat Japanese food. My friends are Japanese. I go to Japanese festivals and events. You know what I mean? Like, that's just how we are. So I don't think it was as bad as everybody making it, but I get it why he has to backtrack, and especially too if he was a Chinese politician who said, or not Chinese, but if he was like another race that wasn't white saying that, I think it would have been a little more accepted. But when a white male says things now, it has to be in some kind of context.
Yeah.
But to understand what he's saying it takes truly understanding how Hawaii looks at humor and race and how we talk about each other.
Great answer.
Okay, thanks.
As someone who grew up in Hawaii, lives in Seattle, do you care that you're about to have a hockey team in 2 years?
I'm really excited.
You are?
Yes. Although I have to part ways with the Vancouver Canucks, though I've been a fan of theirs for a while.
Oh, okay.
Because they were the first hockey game I've seen live. And when you see it live, it's a whole different sport. I wasn't that big a hockey fan, and a friend of mine took me. And when you see it live, you go, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. Yep.
But TV follows the puck. What's really great about watching that sport is what all those people are doing. Those line changes they do, I don't know how that happens. I don't know how 5 or 6 people, how many it is, go flying here and then 5 other people come flying there and the other team didn't score. Yeah. I don't know how that happens, right? It's like a ballet to watch all that. And to see these guys, skate at 100 miles an hour and then stop on a dime. How do their ankles not explode, right? So I remember watching it just thinking, this is awesome. I kind of became a Canucks fan.
Okay.
But no. Seattle's really excited. There's a team in Seattle. They're actually in Kent, which is a little south, the Seattle Thunderbirds. There's a team in Everett, which is about 30 minutes away from Seattle, the Silvertips, and then Tacoma has a team. So there's a lot of hockey there.
Oh.
It'll work. It'll work really well. People are already excited. So they had this thing, like the radio station, the sports radio station said, send in your name ideas. So everybody's coming up with all these different names. And I said, hey, let's call them the Mariners. That way we can say the Mariners are playing in October.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, we're really excited. It's going to be a big thing.
Do you have a suggestion for the name?
That was my
Besides
suggestion.
that
Yeah, that was the one I sent in.
I saw a list of some of the names they...
Did you see the list? Yeah,
let's see.
There were some people came up with some good ones.
Seattle Grunge, Seattle Neon Warriors,
Yeah.
Seattle Grinders, Skyscrapers,
Skyscrapers.
Thunder,
No.
Kraken,
That one I heard and I liked. I liked the Kraken.
Seattle Kraken,
Yeah, I liked that one.
Sasquatches,
Yeah.
Snowcaps, Metropolitan, Skyline, Steelheads.
Steelheads would be good. Yes. Salmon related, you can't lose there.
Oh yeah, Steel. Yeah, that's not a bad one.
Yeah, Steelhead
It's
is
kinda
good.
Tough. Sounds
Yeah,
tough.
just don't do chum. The Seattle chum.
Then you could have Chum Lee as your mascot. Hi-ho, Chum Lee here. Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, we're really excited about it, and NHL's never been in Seattle. So this would be a really a fun thing to have.
Let's see. I have just a few more things
Okay,
here.
cool.
So speaking of hockey, and I work at the games here. Like tonight, I have to work at the Minnesota Wild game.
Okay.
For example, one of the beers that I sell is Kona Big Wave.
Oh.
Is Kona legit Hawaiian beer?
Yes. There's a brewery right down by the bay in downtown. I say downtown. It really isn't a downtown, but in the kind of the main town area. And whenever I'm there, not whenever, but usually when I'm there, I try and get over there for lunch. And I cannot believe how popular it is.
But people drink it in Hawaii.
Oh yeah.
I have a friend from Australia, and I'll never forget when he told me,
Yes.
nobody drinks Foster's. He's like, that's no, mate, no.
Okay, well, I will say this: before it got famous, it's not the beer of Hawaii. Hawaiians love their Bud Lights and their Coors Lights, and you know what I mean. It was more a craft beer. If you for people who like the nicer stuff, the fancier stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like this prevalent. And which is why it's done so well. I mean, you're not going to compete against the Bud Lights and come to the mainland and have,
Right.
I have this, this light yellow beer. Like it's not. So it wasn't like a monstrously popular thing. People liked it. It was a craft.
Okay.
And.
I was amazed. We just started selling it in St. Paul at the stadium there within the last year. And I had people, the first night it was there, I didn't take it out to sell it because I'd never heard of it. And then I had got people coming up to me going, hey, do you have the Kona? Because some of the other guys I work with were selling it.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? It's my favorite. I love it.
Isn't that amazing?
I'd never even heard of it.
People tell me all the time they like the longboard. They love that one, and it is good.
Since then, I've tried the Big Wave, and I enjoy that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've heard the Wild games are just an amazing experience. I heard that's one of the best places to see a game. Someone told me
They're pretty good.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. It's really great. I mean, the stadium's 18 years. Arena is 18 years old now, but yeah, still real nice, real great shape. Yeah. And it's in St. Paul, my city.
Right. That's awesome.
Finally, I think
Yes.
this is finally Edgar Martinez.
Yes.
Will he? Has he? He hasn't. They haven't had the vote. Have they had the vote?
No, the vote's on right now. And the great thing is in the public votes, the ones that release their votes, he's at something like 89% now, which is awesome. 75% gets him in the Hall of Fame. And by the way, I'm glad you brought it up because I don't know if you know this. He's my favorite Mariner ever.
Okay.
By far. And I know people always say, what about Griffey? Griffey's the best player I've ever watched live. That guy was amazing. But Edgar's my favorite Mariner. And so he's looking good in the public votes now. And I think he's going to make it. I mean, he got to, surprisingly, last year he made this monstrous jump. and he got relatively close. And so I think this year is going to make it because plus two, the class isn't that strong this year as far as numbers. There's not 5 or 6 guys that have to get in. You know what I mean? So I think he definitely has a chance. And but I will say this: if he doesn't make it, and the steroid guys get over 50%, I am going to lose it.
Okay.
I'm going to go nuts because they're increasing in votes too.
Guys like Bond still isn't in.
Bonds,
McGuire.
Clemens, McGuire, great players, but man, if Edgar doesn't get in and one of them does, man, I might have to rethink. And I love baseball. But yeah, my daughter got me a baseball card, a baseball pack of Chattanooga. I can't remember the team name. And Edgar was on that team. She found a baseball card.
Chattanooga Lookouts. Is that it?
I think that's it.
I think it is.
And she got me a team pack from 1980 something, and when Edgar was on it, and it's the greatest. It's the greatest present. I was so thrilled, and I already have a few Edgar cards, but that card is, oh man, I love it. He was in his mid-20s in that picture.
I have to pat myself on the back now for some gift I gave once to my father, baseball related, about one of his favorite players. His favorite player growing up was favorite team was the Twins. Favorite player was a guy named Rich Rollins. Not a famous, well-known player, but okay, maybe you know who he is. That's good. This is my dad's favorite player, third baseman Rich Rollins.
Yeah.
I kept an eye on eBay for Rich Rollins products. I found one of his cashed payroll checks from the Minnesota Twins.
Wow.
Yes. So, of course, it has his signature. It has the Twins logo.
You're the best son ever. That is so cool.
Yeah. So I gave my dad for, and I also then I found a baseball, the little baseball digest. I don't even know if it's still around.
Yeah,
he was on the cover
of
of one of those once.
Okay.
So in a little frame, I put a shadow box. I guess I put the baseball digest with him on the cover, along with his actual voided payroll check.
Not
voided, but his cashed.
Yeah, cashed.
Check.
Yeah. That is a great gift because like a baseball digest or an old Sports Illustrated or an old card, very cool gift, right? But a payroll thing, you don't think you'll ever get your hands on something like that.
I wasn't looking for that. I just found it. Yeah.
That is amazing. Wow. Well, I'm going to tell my daughter her present sucks. That stupid Edgar Martinez Chattanooga card. It's not his paycheck. Thank you for the perspective. I'm gonna go home and set this straight.
That's right. But what I really try to do here is one up teenage girls whenever possible. Well, I consider this a victory, so I'm going to walk out of here with my head high. Thank you, Kermit. People have got to come see you here.
I appreciate it.
People got to come see you here at Acme while you're in town.
Yeah, I love this club. I love this town. So thank you very much for having me on.
Thank you.